Aida model has been used. So you see, not all Aida. So it is a very what serious, not serious. It's more like a proposal about cost cutting in plastics. Okay, so how they are doing it? First, they are trying to draw the attention by putting everybody in the same like a ground in an agreement. What? How is that? Catches the reader's attention with a blunt statement ground by stating what is your pain point, that they all know the plastic prices is so high. In January 1 suggested that we in January I suggested that we purchase plastic containers in bulk during winter month when petroleum prices tend to be lower. So you do forward purchasing or advanced purchasing during that time when the price is low. Because you approved that suggestion, we should realize a 10% saving this year. However, our costs are still out of line, around $2 million a year just for buying this plastic bottle or PET bottle or whatever. So, what is happening here? You said, okay, something interesting. What? We all did it earlier. We have You are somebody who have been concerned about this from the beginning, and you have suggested an idea. People have accepted that they have been benefited through this, right? In addition to the cost in dollars of this plastic container is the cost in image. We have recently been receiving an increasing number of consumer letters complaining about our lack of a recycling program for PET plastic containers because you are addressing those consumer who are very much concerned about what environment. So it is not about cutting your cost, it is about your what image consumers are holding about you, what you are doing about recycling program. So that is also very much important, both on the airplanes and in the airport restaurants. So maybe you are somebody who are connected with the this kind of industry, and now you are what you have done there. So that is the question. So after conducting some preliminary research, I have come up with the following ideas: provide recycling containers at all hosts Marriott airport restaurant, offer financial incentives for the airlines to collect and separate PET containers, set up a specially designated dumpster at each airport for recycling plastics. Contract with ABAT Waste Management for collection. So now you are creating a desire how by how this can be resolved for everybody. So you said you have created an interest by stating what the problem is still there and how it can be improved. In desire state, you are telling that how these people can be like your the project or the clients can use these ideas, and lastly you are telling them how it can be, so what need to be done to use that idea. I've attached a detailed report of the costs involved. As you can see, our net savings the first year should run about this. I've also spoken to Ted Macy's in marketing. If we adopt the recycling plan, he wants to build up a PR campaign around it. So altogether, so this way you can use the ADA model. First, bringing people, drawing their attention by bringing all of them in the common ground, that sharing their pain point and how what need to be done. Lastly, in order to resolve those problems, what are the steps can be taken, and at the end, what action need to be done in order to get through all this, like resolving your problem, making a proper image, or cutting the a cost or thing like that. Okay, so here, that was one of the example, Ada. So now we know that Ada has a limitation also. What is that limitation? That limitation, they say it is talking at the audience, not with them, because in all say it's like that. And so I would say, and it is one time event and not a long term relationship. So I would say you or we, what we can do, we know ADA model has lots of plus point, but it has got limitation also. So you can overcome those limitations by making it more interactive. In what uh, in what point of what ADA like a model, you can make it more interactive. You can make it more interactive in the interest section. You can make it more in the desire section. Suppose you are giving a presentation and you want to use the ADA model. So maybe in the first part you have drawn their attention, and then in the interest part you have build up your logic is a little bit. Now in the desire part or in the interest part, you can ask question to your audience. What do you think they're still suffering from? How do you think this this proposal or what product they should be desiring that could resolve their problem totally. And when it comes from the audience, you can say, okay, so you see, you are telling me this kind of ways we can really, or like a, if we had this kind of product, that will totally eliminate our pain, right? Our the challenges that we are going through. So as you said, we have a solution for you. So this is our product which can really help you out. So it was from both sides, right? It was very interactive. You let the audience to take the control. You ask them what you think that will really solve your problem. And when they say these are the ways, I wish there was a product, I wish there was a solution that would help me to eliminate my problem, then you say, okay, you are absolutely right because we have a solution for you. So you have totally created a desire, and this is coming from them. They say, I wish I had something like that. Then I would avail it. And since you were well prepared, you knew what kind of problems your audience have and how they would try to resolve it, and you already have a solution for them. So through that you can resolve the limitation of AIDA model. You can connect your audience better, and it will won't be one time anymore. It will be leading to a long term relationship also. Okay, so we are so now, so you have to, in order to build up your as I said, build up your logic or reasoning, it has to be both from emotional perspective, and also it has to be from your functional perspective also. So here for emotional perspective, they call about freedom, success, prestige, compassion, free, comfort. These are your emotional words that inspire them. So now if I am talking about a Mont Blanc pen, right? It is a highly expensive pen, and it is, I would say its function is not like very much different or above than any other ordinary pen, still pay a huge money for that. Why? Because there is an emotional appeal to it. It's a sign of success. It's a sign of prestige. It's a sign that shows how far you have gone in your life. Okay, what you can avail. So this is Mont Blanc pen. It is not only a sign of like what comfort. It is more like, oh, is that right? So there's an emotional appeal to that. So earlier I told you about diamonds, like De Beers or Tiffany jewelers. What they do, they totally appeal to the emotion. about. We know that, like as I said, that documentary was telling. I talked to you about a documentary, right? If some of you remember, we said like diamond is highly available now, right? It has been created in a factory and in billions in numbers every day, so it shouldn't be expensive anymore. But still, these big companies, if you call De Beers, Tiffany, or all the other diamond jewelries, even in Bangladesh or in other places, they're still what they are selling. Still, they are trying to create an emotional appeal to it, and they're trying to say it's a sign of prestige, sign of success, sign of like a more like a those special days, or like what? Suppose if it is like so if you are giving a gift to your somebody dear one, you have to give something very much like a which has a high price to it. So it is, and something it is very aesthetically also very much like a very much appealing. So altogether, that's why you are still paying very high price for the diamond, because it is for a special occasion. Somebody who is special, somebody who is very dear to you. So you have to give a high price for that. So it's like that. They're still holding to it, maybe, but maybe people who are more informed, they might be, they might not be falling for those emotions. The emotion appeal attempt to connect with the reader's feeling or sympathies, while the logical appeal will be on a different ground, right? So how do you create logical appeal? So there are three ways they said you can do that. One is by creating an analogy. Analogy means what? You come up with an example which is very close to yours, and then you say how they are doing it, so we should also do the same. How somebody who is of your kind has been benefited by using that product, then you say that you should be also using it. That is analogy. With analogy, you reason from specific evidence to specific evidence. So that is that. Induction is another way to draw logic. Induction is with inductive reasoning, you work from specific evidence to a general conclusion. Maybe you draw three or four evidence, and that's how people have been benefited and this. And now you say everybody should be availing it. So that is from specific evidence to a general conclusion. And deduction is with, with generalization to a specific conclusion. That means maybe through a research, through a something, a data, by collecting a huge data, you have shown that this should be working. And now you say so that everybody, or maybe like your specific organization, should be also availing that. To persuade your boss to hire additional customer support staff, you might point to industry surveys that show how crucial customer satisfaction is to corporate profit. So what you're saying, that from the industry research, by taking lots of data from different industries, it is showing that customer satisfaction is very paramount or very much crucial to corporate profits. So that's why you are asking your boss to recruit more people or to increase more staff in the customer support section. So if your customers are happy, that will ultimately lead to corporate profit. Why? How did you find this? You found this through industry research. So not any specific organization you are telling, but from the industry research, it is showing that deduction. So these are the different ways you can create a logical appeal also. Like you can build up your reasoning through this by deduction, induction, analogy. So maybe in the Ada model, we see there's a section, we call it interest, right? So maybe first you back it up with a research data. They are telling that. Now you give some specific evidence that how it has been done through induction. And lastly, you come up with a very close example which your audience can directly relate. And then they say, and then you come up with so you are creating a desire on that section by using a analogy, right? So this is the way you can build up your logic. So logic appeals are based on the reader's what? Uh, on the reader's notion of reason. This appeal can use an analogy, induction, and what. So, but at the same time, you have to be careful about how you use your reasoning and desirable part. So, what you do is vulnerable to misuse. So, you have to be very careful about that. You have to use faulty logic and practice the following guidelines. So, what is that? Avoid hasty generalization. Make sure you have plenty of evidence before drawing conclusion. That's what I said. If you just say that, use the what deduction logic, maybe that is not enough. So by just giving one, like, there the research is showing that's why we should all do. No, you have to be more specific. So in order to do that, you have to do induction that bring few evidence, and then you say why customer has to do that, and finally you have to come up with a proper analogy also. So that is one thing. Avoid circular reasoning. You see, that is falsy, like false logic, a logical fallacy. What is that? We know, suppose here is an example. So a statement is saying, we know temporary workers cannot handle this task because temps are unqualified for it. That means what? You are almost telling the same thing in different words, right? You cannot say your temporary workers cannot handle this task because they are unable to do it. It's almost stating the same thing. But this logic might sound, you can be more compelling by saying temporary workers cannot do it. What? Because they have less accountability to the company. They are not loyal. Their purpose is to have, like, draw some experience from here, take some recommendation, and leave and go and work somewhere else. So that's why they are not they are unqualified for this job, which requires more dedication, which requires more commitment. You have to get this job done with people who have been loyal to the company for a while, not any temporary workers, because they cannot give equal dedication as a loyal long time workers have been doing it. These temporary workers have limited knowledge about the company. They don't know exactly how about this company's culture, this company's philosophy, this company's values, right? So that's why this job cannot be done by them. You just can't say temporary workers cannot handle this task because they are unqualified for it. Avoid attacking an opponent. That means what? You cannot be like what? Attacking their characters or their knowledge or their information. You have to be very much unbiased. You have to be very much objective. Maybe your audience might come up with anything, but you cannot lose your temper. You cannot say, oh, you cannot do because you are uneducated or you don't have enough experience. You cannot say that. You cannot also oversimplify a complex issue. You cannot just say, okay, if we cannot do this, then this will happen. No, there, this cannot be a logic. You have to play on their emotion. You have to play on their basic needs. You have to know about their characteristics and slowly create an interest or desire among your audience. Avoid mistaken assumption of cause and effect. Like this is happening because of that. Like suppose they have given a reason, what? You lowered prices and sales went up. This is a very simple, maybe a mistaken assumption. How it is that? Maybe sales went up for various different reasons. Maybe your quality was better this time. Maybe there was more demand. Maybe some of the competitive customers were not selling this time. So altogether, the sales went up. It did not when it did not go up because of the lower prices. So these are the things you have to avoid. Avoid faulty analogies. That is something very, like very crucial. You cannot say okay, this company got successful by using this project or idea, so we have to do it. Maybe we are totally two different companies. That company is already stable. They have a huge market share. Maybe they have a many loyal customers because they have been operating for more time than we have been there. So we cannot draw the analogies with them. You have to bring some same kind of company as we are. Maybe yeah, with the same kind of profile and everything like that. So is this clear to you? I think we have almost come to the end of this like a chapter, and there are few things if you want to like read, definitely you should, and everybody should be reading the like so I think as I was explaining those things, I've already said these things in a quite elaborately, using a hard sell, resisting compromise, relying solely on great arguments. You cannot, like, it is not about winning the arguments, it is about convincing them, right? You can, like, sometimes people come up with very like a very like a professional display of data and graphs and this things this, but you cannot maybe those things won't work all the time. Perhaps just giving us story from your own life and not through a very highly professional presentation, but just explaining the whole thing through your story might be more effective than a great argument. Resisting compromise. You have to keep in mind this is not about winning. So you might be compromising few things to connect with your audience better. And lastly, most important thing, that is hard sell. Don't do that. Don't be too much imposing or aggressive. Give a proper reasoning to your audience and let them decide. Let them be in control. Okay. So these are the things. So in our discussion, I've already covered this part, and but you can always read. So here, one shot effort. This is not about one shot effort. The light away they can say you. Yes, you will slowly the moves towards like create a credibility, moves to slowly take them to a point where they will say yes. All right. So we are almost at the end. So now I'm going to quickly share the slides. And then after that, I'll tell you more about the Aida. Maybe I'll pick one or two of you to talk about the Aida, what you have done. So I'll go for a, okay, let's see. For some reason, I cannot share the slides. Okay, so this chapter has been very. So I'm showing the slides now, right? You can all see that. I see. So what I'm going to do, we are going to quickly cover this. Maybe in the next 5 minutes, I'll finish it. This part, you can all see it, right? So here, we know this one very well is a three-step writing process. Then we know that in order to, like, especially for a persuasive message, your purpose has to be very clear, necessary, and appropriate. Because why? Because you have to understand what message are you giving, because you have to convince the person, right? It is not only you are stating the information. If the stating the information, maybe structure will be different, and after that you are asking them to give you something in return, then it should also show it in the structure, right? So that is, in order to do that, you have to know your audience very well, both from their demographic and psychographic characteristics. Demographics are quantifiable: gender, income, education, and psychographics are more like subjective, because it has got a cultural influence, it has got their peer associations, it's regarding their gender and all these things, or I mean, not gender, it is about the family they have been brought to, and all together. So it talks about personality, attitude, lifestyle. So it is more subjective. But you have to understand all this thoroughly in order to reach out to your customers better. And we know this is the one that both organizational differences, individual differences has a huge influence on your like audience. So here example, in Germany, where people tend to focus on technical matters, plan on verifying any figures for use for support, and make sure they are exact. In Sweden, audience tend to focus on theoretical question and strategic implication, whereas US audience are usually concerned with more practical matters. So what people are concerned about, and through there, like that's why I say German goods are so technically advanced, right? Because here as a whole nation, they're more concerned about that. And Sweden, they see how it can like a what is the strategic implication of that, how it can benefit us. And maybe for USA it's something else, and more maybe profits and all this more practical matter. So it differs from culture to culture also, right? As I said earlier, refer. So you have to bring the knowledge of your low context culture, high context culture. Suppose if you are going to like create a what create a you are trying to propose an idea to an Arab sheikh in order to how they can make their like a business more viable, or how to change the architecture of their landscape. Maybe just giving them a big presentation wouldn't work. You have to connect with them emotionally to get their agreement. So this is, you have to understand, right? Now you have to establish credibility. So we have also seen that in order to, I've talked a lot about this earlier in one of the section of the chapter, that how do you gain credibility? By sharing facts, your knowledge, by over the time, how you are also practicing thing, and also enthusiasm. In our culture, we don't give much priorities to enthusiasm, but enthusiasm works a long way. Why? Because you are very happy by using it. If you are passionate about the project, then you'll see it is easier for other people to also convince in your own, to your own what? To agree with you. Why? Because you yourself, this positiveness, this enthusiasm is something infectious, because that will help you to connect with your people better. So enthusiasm, being happy about the thing, how passionately you are projecting your ideas, that tells a lot. Then strive for higher ethical standard, definitely provide information, boost understanding that you know about it thoroughly, promote free choice, no hard sell, asking your audience to take the decision, avoid manipulation. That means what? You cannot be too like smooth, you too like well prepared on that. So you have to, so that might sound manipulating. So writing persuasive message, so you have to use all kind of like a structure, both direct structure and indirect structure, and then you can come up with that. Then we have what? Completing the message. Of course, you have to evaluate the content. You have to see the clarity and conciseness, proofreading, what kind of language you are using it. So this three, the length and complexity of persuasive message making applying step three even more crucial to your success, right? Which we have seen it in the first slide I have talked about. Logic and reasoning, that is emotional, both from both sides. We talked a lot about it. Analogy, induction, deduction. And on the emotional side is feelings, sympathies, and needs. And then you will, using all these things together, you will put up your name, promote action, understanding expectation, overcome resistance, sell your point of view. So you have to keep all these things in mind in order to be more convincing. So they have in this slide, they have given you some example how you can grab your audience attention better. News item, a piece of genuine news, a personal appeal to the reader's emotion and values, your product's most attractive feature along with the associated benefit, an intriguing number or provocative question, a product sample, a concrete illustration with story appeal, a specific trait shared by the audience, a challenge, a solution to a problem. So these are the first thing you can do in order to draw their attention. And once that is done, then you can give them the reason and logic to create an interest. Ultimately, they will find it very desirable. And then you tell them what action needs to be taken to avail it. So here, attention, the central point, the reasoning, building interest, study the competition, know the product, analyze the audience. These can help you to build up your reasoning better. Find out what your competitors are doing so that you can say that we are doing better. Otherwise, say that it's highly available, what difference you are doing. Know the products thoroughly, all the pain points, all the challenges and everything. Analyze the audience, okay? Know your audience needs, then you can build up a proper selling poem, make it more compelling. Increase desire, already the phrase, the main benefit refers to other benefits, provide essential detail, tell them how people can be benefited. Like when you state the benefit, just don't state it. Say it like how this particular audience, their pain points can be resolved through this benefit so that they can find all these benefits more reliable, relatable. So they said, you see, sales letter reflect to you attitude through reference to benefits. So always phrase the selling point in terms of what your product features can do for potential customers, how you can be benefited, what is there for you, and motivating the action. Ultimately, let them take the ultimate step, that is availing the product. Explain the next step, create urgency, use a postscript, apply good judgment. Postscript means maybe something that they need to like write it down or do it, or tell them how the maybe the offer is very much limited, or that maybe the first buyers might get a discount, thing like that. Persuasive action, action request, claims and adjustment. So these kind of, so what kind of situation, in what kind of situation do we use persuasive request? When you are asking for an action, when a claims and adjustment need to be made. In those kind of time, you use this. Request for action, written request, facts, and all this. So here is an example they have given, but we have already read that example. So now we are not doing it. So I have already read it. Now, claims and adjustment. So when you in the chapter, there are some more examples also. You can go through them. So this is the thing. So, and we have also seen example of claims and adjustment in the other chapter as well. Sales, both for non-profit organization and for profit organization. So it is almost the same, but appealing to the different needs. Two distinctive type of persuasive message are sales and fundraising message. These messages are often sent in special direct mail packages, right? How do sales manager differ from fundraising messages? Sales messages are usually sent by for profit organization, definitely, and the non-profit is for fundraising is for non-profit organization. Aside from these differences, sales and fundraising messages are quite similar. Both require a few more steps than other types of persuasive messages, and both are they mainly use Aida model. So sales message will emphasize selling points, stressing benefits, remembering legal issues, and all these things, right? And your fundraising will be what? So more on that, using action and terms, talking about prices, supporting your claim. While your fundraising will be analyze the audience, study the competition, clearly say what is it, keep the message personal because you are really appealing to their self-actualization needs. So it is so you have to connect with them emotionally for your donors to agree to give the money. It is not for their benefit, but it's for other people's benefit. So you have to keep it, you have to reach out to them emotionally, right? So this is it for this chapter. So we have read everything. So now last class I said, I'm giving you like around like 5 minutes to for those to tell me about the Ada model. Uh, Tell us about the advertising for us. So, prepare it.
Excuse me, ma'am, we can't hear you.
You cannot.
No, ma'am. Yes,
Can you
now.
hear me now?
Yes, now we can. Now we can.
Okay. So that is the thing. So I'm giving you 5 minutes to put your ideas together and come up with any ad that you have seen it the last 2 days, which has you think have used Ada model. So for this, it's not marked. I just want a volunteer, maybe 2% to talk about it, because that will give the reference to others how this has to be done. Okay. So take your time. 5 minutes from now, it is 9:14. Maybe we are coming at 9:20. Okay, 6 minutes. 9:20 to talk about it. So we are like taking a small break on this.